Hello, my dear friends. This is Rabbi Aharon Dobinsky coming to you today from the holy city of Yerushalayim, Jerusalem, Israel. Ooh. Now, I want to talk to you about something today that's extremely important in perception. Everybody says, not everybody, but many people ask me, Rob, why is Hashem being so mean to me? Why is Hashem trying to hurt me? Why are things going so bad in my life? Why? These are all negative questions. And they're the wrong questions, by the way. The better question is, what do I need to do to prevent this from happening? But we'll come back to that another time. Why are these things happening to me? Well, it's a matter of perception. You know, somebody says to you, you make me so mad. No, you don't make them so mad. They make them so mad. It's their perception of what you said and what they do with it that makes them mad. They don't have to be mad. They don't have to own that feeling that you express to them, and vice versa. It works both ways. These are things that are very important to know, that our perception in many cases is a great downfall for us because it takes us to places we really don't need to go. Let's take a look at this week's Parsha, Lech Lecha, go to yourself. We talked about that earlier this week. Avraham Avinu, Hashem's beloved. How do I know he is Hashem's beloved? Because Torah tells us this again and again and again and again and again. Hashem loved Avraham because Avraham was the first to recognize there's only one God in the universe. There are not multiple gods. They are not made of wood. They are not made of stone. They are not made of precious metals. There's one God. You don't see him, but you certainly see the results of what he's done, what he's created. He is Hashem's beloved, Avraham. And he is told this week by Hashem, go to yourself. Very important to know that. Not just go to yourself, which requires you, by the way, to leave the home of your father, leave the city you've known, leave all the people you've known. Go to a place, I'm not even going to tell you where it is. I'll tell you when you get there. Wow. Could you believe that Hashem could do this? I mean, Avraham Avinu must be so mad. I mean, how could you do this to me? You send me away from everything I know to a place I don't even know where I'm going. And he finally gets there. And there's a big famine on. Now, Hashem didn't send, he sent him alone, but Avraham took his wife and his nephew and his family and slaves and people that they had worked with, talking about the concept of one God. They all came with him. And they get to Canaan, which is where they went to, and it's in the middle of a major famine. And I'm sure anybody else would have thought, oh, hey, thank you, Hashem. What a great thing you've done. You brought me to from a place where I had plenty of food, plenty of everything, to a place that has absolutely nothing. I'm sure Lot, his nephew, said, hey, uncle, thank you. Good choice. We're here in the middle of no place. We don't know anybody. We don't know anything. We have nothing. Wow. Sounds like me when I first came to Israel. I came to Israel 10 years ago. I had nothing. I didn't know anybody. I'd never been here before, and I was 60 years old. And basically, the agency, the Jewish agency, told me I'd never make it because of my age. As you can see, it's 10 years later, and I made it. So, with Hashem's help. Hashem does help you, but sometimes he gives you tasks along the way. They are things that are difficult for you. It's the fire. It's the fire that tempers the steel that makes the sword. It's the fire. You can't do it without it. The fire, where does the fire come from? It comes from heat. The heat comes from the fact that you don't understand why things are not going the way you think they should go. Not understanding also the way that Hashem is thinking. Not also understanding what he has planned at the end of these trials. So, let's take it a step further. So Avraham says, okay, I'm in Canaan. There's no food. How are we going to eat? Well, we'll go to Egypt. So they trek a little bit further. Not exactly around the corner. It's quite a trek. They get to Egypt. And what happens in Egypt? Well, all the people who are friends of the king of Egypt, Pharaoh, notice that Abraham's wife is beautiful. So beautiful that Avraham hears people talking and says to her, just tell him I'm your brother, because if they find out I'm your husband, they'll kill me just so they can have you. So she does this. And, of course, what happens? The king of Egypt, Pharaoh, takes her inside of his house. Yes, he has evil intents. Yes, there's things he wants to do to her, and he doesn't get a chance because he is led to find out that she is not a sister, although that's another story. She is in a way a sister, but more than that, she is Avraham's wife. But in the meantime, he's given Avraham donkeys, sheep, cattle, all sorts of things, money. Avraham is basically an independently wealthy man because of all this. And then Paro, king of Egypt, gives Sarah back. So he's got Sarah back now. He's got where to live, where to eat, what to go out and get whatever he needs. This is all things that are happening to him. It says that Abraham had 10 trials that he had to go through. And he was, I'll repeat it again, the beloved of Hashem. And he still had to go through these tests because that's what built his mettle. That's what made him stronger. That's what made him who he had to be in order to do what he had to do. Okay, so he leaves Egypt and he comes back to Canaan because things are getting better now with his nephew Lot and all the people that he was with. They get there and they decide they cannot share the ground together because Lot's herdsmen and Abraham's herdsmen are fighting with each other. So they have to split and go their own separate ways. Okay, so this is not exactly a great fairy tale story about what Abraham had to go through. It was difficult for him. And he was Abraham's beloved. And this is what he had to go through. So you're concerned about what you have to go through. We all have things that are perplexing to us. We all have things that confuse us as to why is this happening to me? Why would God do this to me? I think what we need to look at in a different way is, why would Hashem do this for me? In Abraham's case, it becomes clear afterwards that, first of all, as bad as it looked in the beginning, no food, the wife going away, everything else, that he comes back a wealthy man with flocks and cattle and everything else that he would need to be considered a wealthy man in his day and time. He didn't know that. He went through all these things without knowing anything good was going to happen to him. He had trust in Hashem because he knew Hashem is a God of love, not a God of hate. He doesn't punish, he guides. And that's what he did. He guided Avraham to Canaan, from Canaan to Egypt, and then back into Canaan, where he was a wealthy man with people around him that he could teach and begin to do the teaching he needed to do to bring people closer to Hashem. But did he know this when he was going through all this? I don't think so. Do you think so? No, he didn't know this. He went through it without knowing, and all along the way, he thanked Hashem for everything Hashem brought into his life. Even the things that he knew must have a purpose, because Hashem wouldn't do anything without a purpose. But even though they had a purpose, he could not possibly have foreseen at the time why it was for his good. Remember the three things we teach. 1, everything comes from Hashem. 2, everything has a purpose, because why would he waste his time with it otherwise? And 3, that purpose always, in the long run, is for our ultimate best. And that's the way it works. We may not see it at the moment, but it's still for our ultimate best. So when we ask, why is Hashem doing this to me? Let's change that to, why is Hashem doing this for me? What is it he has in mind for me later on? Can you guess? Yeah, you can. Maybe you'd be right and maybe you'd be wrong. And it really doesn't matter. What we have to be secure in the fact that he brings everything to us for a purpose. That purpose is always for our ultimate best. These are things we must remember as we go forward. When people say bad things to you, things that hurt you, understand, it's just their opinions. That's not anything to do with your life. That's their life. That's how they feel. You're going to have people who will disagree with you. You'll have people give you opinions that you feel may hurt you. Don't let them hurt you, because they are only opinions. And opinions are like belly buttons. Everybody's got one, and some smell worse than others. So in this case, remember, we need to be working on ourselves, forgetting the other people. When we get ourselves together, when we get our own personal redemption done, then we can start worrying about some of the people who are close to us and helping them work on their personal redemption so that they can get closer to Hashem as well. And then, when we all get enough of our personal redemptions done, it'll be time for the final redemption, the coming of Mashiach Tzidkenu, and the third Beit HaMikdash b'mehera v'yameinu. My friends, have a great Shabbos, a great week ahead, a great life full of love, fulfillment, and joy. This is what you were put here for. It's what you deserve. It's what Hashem will give to you if you'll only let Him. Be well, my friends. God bless.